All right, everyone. Well, welcome to a new video, Kitchen Table TCG. I'm here with Ryan Rush from DFW Pokemon. Ryan, what's going on, dude?
What's up, man? I'm so stoked to be doing this with you.
All
Yeah, I'm
right,
pumped.
before anybody like clicks away, we are talking about Flesh and Blood and Pokemon. Ryan
Yes.
is starting a new thing called or you've got Pokemon World already, which like
Correct?
25,000 people or something like that in the Facebook group. Is that
So the Facebook group just hit 38,000 and we're right
dang?
below 40K. We're going to get there probably in the next week or so. Yeah.
Dang, congratulations. That's awesome. But you just
Yeah.
started Flesh and Blood World too. So you guys are like taking all of
Did.
your knowledge that you've gained from Pokemon and starting this amazing community and kind of going to start being in Flesh and Blood World. And so
Yeah.
I reached out to Ryan. I was like, "Hey dude, like you're going to be here. Let's have a chat and like let's talk and let's get you on the channel." And he said yes. So
Yes.
dude, I'm stoked. So let's talk a little bit. Just hang out. Well, what got you into? Let's start here. What got you into TCGs, and then tell me how you got into like Flesh and Blood, and you were interested in that.
Sure. Yeah. The TCG startup in my life. I'm 30, so I was born in 1990. So when I was a 9-year-old little boy, I've said this same story over and over again. I love like it's like the best. Is my grandmother actually would buy me booster packs of base set Pokemon cards if I could just correctly spell my spelling list for the spelling bee for elementary school.
That's
So if I
awesome.
could correctly spell all my words, she would buy me base set booster packs. And I'm thankful because I kept all those packs and all those cards from many, many years ago. And that's what really grew. We got a Bulbasaur. We got $30,000 Bulbasaur there. Check it out. This guy's got Pokemon flexing on a Charizard. Yeah,
This is my
dude.
childhood
Nice.
Pokemon collection, bro.
That's what I'm talking
I
about.
finished
Yeah.
it when I
And it's
turned
all raw. I love it.
26.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. So I mean, for me, it was all Pokemon. It was all everything. That's what my childhood was. It was all Pokemon. I wasn't really into any other TCG or into any other like anime or anything. It was all just Pokemon. And then as I grew up, I grew out of the phase, if you will. So I went to like middle school and high school and didn't think it was like really cool anymore, which I like obviously made a mistake like thinking that way. So and then in high school, I actually played Magic. I never learned how to
Oh.
play Pokemon. I still don't know how to play Pokemon. I just collected it and turned it into a business. But for me, I played Magic. I loved playing Magic. I thought the gameplay of it was really cool. I thought it was cool, more of an adult game, like building up like black and white angel decks and stuff like that. So I played Magic in high school, and then I rediscovered my Pokemon card collection when I was about 25, and then it just took off to turn into a full time business today.
That's awesome, dude. So
Yeah.
you did not sell your Pokemon cards when you were in middle school when you thought it
No,
was lame though.
I know.
You kept it.
I traded them and I wrecked other kids. I was trading Mr. Mimes for Charizards back then. I don't know. I guess the hustler mentality was started real at an early age because yeah, I was peddling out bell sprouts for Charizards when I was a kid, and thankfully to this day I still have every single one of those base and shadowless and first edition Charizards from my childhood.
That's awesome, dude. That's
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't get them sold in like some stupid yard sale when your parents
No,
were
I
like,
hear so many stories like that,
I'm
and
sure.
I feel so bad for so many people out
I
there. But
bought some
I was
Pokemon cards
I
in
was
my day at
lucky.
yard sales.
Yeah. Oh, but I still do that today. I
Yeah.
just did it last week.
That's awesome, man. Well, so tell me
Yeah.
a little bit about like why are you interested in Flesh and Blood? Why are you guys kind of starting with this Flesh
Sure.
and Blood world? What's the deal there?
Yeah. So it's I was always one of those people like when I started up with my business partners at UFW Pokemon. It's like just be really really good at one niche and just hone in on that one thing and just be the best at it, like in an all around aspect from a business standpoint, customer service standpoint, and all that, and just dial in on that. And I told myself I'm never getting back into Magic. I'm not doing Digimon, no Yu-Gi-Oh, no Dragon Ball, none of that. I just want to invest and be all about Pokemon. And then it was about maybe a month ago, maybe longer. I had one of the members of my Pokemon community. He makes cards,
Okay.
makes cards of me, like proxy cards of me, and he like sells them. And it's like a good it's like art creativity for him, and like he sells them, and it's cool. But he reached out to me. He goes, "Have you heard of Flesh and Blood?" And it was just one little message on Facebook, and I was like, "What the heck is that?" I like completely oblivious to that it even existed. And I go, "What's Flesh and Blood?" He goes, "Dude, you got to check it out." He goes, "It's collectible like Pokemon. It's playable like Magic." He's like, "It's huge in New Zealand. It's huge in Australia. It's huge in Taiwan." He's like, "You got to check it out."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay." So I just it was like an afterthought. I didn't really think of it. And then he told me about Monarch, and he told me about this set coming out. And so like I like Googled Monarch, like Flesh and Blood TCG Monarch, and I saw the art illustrations, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "This is like really cool artwork." And then I looked
Love
into it a
that.
little bit more, and I saw how Monarch was like It had like this white side and this black side, and it was like heroes and demons, and it like took me back to the time of when I played Magic, and I created, like I said, a black and white angel deck in Magic, and like Monarch reminded me of that, and I was like, dude, this is pretty cool looking. And then I looked into it a little bit more because I was interested in learning how to play, because I don't really have that much time, but I wanted to dedicate time to learning how to play. And I looked into it, and from an investment standpoint, and I saw Flesh and Blood, and I saw these things called alpha boxes and Arcane Rising first edition boxes. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, how is something that was created 2 years ago, 3 years ago, turned into such a quick liquid asset so fast? And it made me think of, well, it has to be due, maybe to the Corona pandemic. Maybe that's whenever the collectible market spiked, and that's what spiked this game. And I started doing some more research, and then I saw, James White, who's behind it, and what he did for Magic, and applying it to the Flesh and Blood community and Legend Story Studios. And I was like, dude, these people are not cutting corners, and they're doing it right. And
yeah, like the opposite. They are going.
I was all in.
They're taking the best possible route. It's like
100%.
what is the best scenery? They're taking the scenic route to get this game off the road. Like they're not just on the highway. Like they're taking the scenic route. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that it's like the artwork. I love that it's like the artwork that kind of showed it too, because like everyone always says, like the artwork is just fantastic and that kind of stuff.
It's nuts. And the Monarch preview that was dropped, I think yesterday, I was like just like blown away. I was like. So that's what kind of got me into it. Like he told me about it, and I was like, okay, so where do I start? Right? Like I don't even know any of the cards. I see what they're selling for raw. I joined some Facebook groups. I joined a couple Discords, and I was like, how do I get into this? And how do I really dive in? So I knew the first thing I had to do was go out and buy a bunch of product, right? Mm. Because if I introduced the community to it on the Pokemon side of things, if I told all my friends about it, if I got people that I'm an influencer to into it, then I'm gonna help drive the market up, and I might miss out on buying stuff for cheaper that I can turn around and invest in the long run. So I went out and bought Arcane Rising first edition boxes, alpha boxes, crew boxes. I bought Unlimited just to crack open and play for fun. So start to kind of build up a portfolio for myself. Bought some raw cards I thought looked cool, and I even like opened up a bunch of alpha packs for fun. Like my first day, like really getting into it, I just started ripping alpha packs because a buddy came over and he like sold me some, and I was opening them, and I pulled the Scab Skin Leathers cold foil.
Nice, a legendary.
Alpha, and I had no clue what it was. Yeah. Dude, I'm like sitting there, I'm like, oh, is this good? Like these are hollows. I'm calling hollows.
Because
they're called foils. Because I come from Pokemon, so I'm like, dude, look at this hollow. And my friend's like, it's a foil. And then I pulled the Scab Skin Leathers, the cold foil. And I was just, and like, we were like 5-year-old kids again, that feeling. We were like high fiving. We were like, yeah. Because I looked up like the last one on eBay, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a $2,000 card. This is crazy. Yeah. So I sent it in to get grading. It's getting graded right now. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome, dude. That's a great like intro into getting involved. And it seems like you have like a genuine excitement about it. And that's what I love is like, I think one of the negative things people say about people of your stature and people of your popularity and people is like the idea that whales are just here to make money. And I was having a conversation with another really high level collector last night. I can't say who it was, but he was telling me that like what he buys, he just really likes the cards, and like when he buys things, he likes to upgrade his collection, so he'll sell off the 9.0s to buy 9.5s, and like I was just really taken aback by the amount of care that he was putting into like the amount of care he was putting into the secondary market. And I love what you said of like not just hopping in and making everything go crazy all at once, but like kind of slowly dripping yourself into the world. I think that's respectable and that's awesome. And so
thank you. Yeah.
I think whales get, I'm sure you've maybe seen my whale, dolphin, or lucky fish videos. Yeah. And I think whales sometimes get a negative rep, but a lot of people like yourself, like you guys just love the cards. I think that's awesome. Like, I think it's great that the cards speak for themselves. And I would say one other thing is like James White has developed a fantastic game, and the dynamic, like every time I've said this very early in my channel all the time, like every time I play this game, I find something else that I love about it. And the feeling that I play reminds me of those early days when I first started playing Magic the Gathering, when cards were just unique and new, and you know they were exploring these different avenues, and different gameplay mechanics, whereas now it's just like flashiness. And I do love like that cold foils are flashy, but they're like kind of like subtly flashy, right? Like they've put intentionality into what, not just like made it like some blown out full art thing that, you know, that doesn't really have any care put into it. And the artwork is fantastic too. So that's awesome, man.
I like, you know, like piggybacking on talking about the whales and how it can be a negative look on the community for whatever their purpose is. And the way I treat Pokemon, it's a free market. And that's how I'm taking the approach with Flesh and Blood too. It's a free market for, if we're really going to grow out the community and see its full potential, you got to accept every single person that's in it, whether they're a game player, whether they're in it as an investment opportunity, or whether they're doing both. And for me, I can never get passionate and invest and get behind something that I don't think is personally cool or that I want to spend my time on. And when I was approached first with Flesh and Blood from an investment standpoint, you know, I saw the future potential and the numbers on it, and it made sense there. But also, you know, just the artwork and the gameplay was so cool that made me want to learn. I'm only, again, I'm in my baby stages. I'm about a month into this, but like I said, I had somebody come over and teach me how to play today, and I got wrecked, and it was awesome. Like I actually thoroughly enjoyed having no clue what I was doing. I played a 40 card blitz deck.
Okay.
And so like the guy came over, he sold me this, like show this off. He sold me a crew box. So I bought this from him. So just to add another one to my collection, because like why not? And then he had like pre-constructed decks, and he like gave me a blitz deck. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. I'm still new. Yeah. And like so he just sat there and he just taught me how to play. And it was really fun. It was really fun. So I'm actually like signing up to go to some events locally and try and learn more and just get involved with the community as much as I can and have fun with it.
That's awesome, man. Well, I think like the next thing to talk about, man, I think you're going to bring in a bunch of new players, right? Like you're going to bring in a bunch of new players, investors, and collectors as just your name from the Pokemon world, 40,000 people following your footing. And, so what questions do you have about Flesh and Blood? Because I think what questions you have about Flesh and Blood will be the same questions that like the people who follow you will have about it. So, what questions as you're getting into the community, like what interests you and what kind of what goes in that mind for you?
Yeah. So for me, like understanding the value of sealed product in the Pokemon community is huge, and especially for a long-term investment standpoint. And I've kind of assimilated that with Flesh and Blood as well. So for me, what I'm trying to dial in now and trying to understand is I understand what the hot product is for sealed. And I've kind of understood that market a bit, how they're going to keep printing the unlimited runs. So maybe not to invest so much into unlimited, because they're going to keep printing it for the gameplay and the players. But at some point, they're going to get so overwhelmed with Monarch's release and with Kingdom release and Crucible, you know, Unlimited, that maybe they're not going to print as much Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising Unlimited. So maybe it is good to hold those. But for me, it's understanding the raw cards and when to buy, what to buy, and how to grade them. I know PSA and BGS are both doing grading, and so I've already submitted cards in for Beckett grading. So for me, it's like from a collector standpoint of like, I don't know what I want to collect yet. Like, I don't know what I want to put in my personal collection besides sealed product. I've got the sealed product. Now I want to move into more of like the raw cards. So it's just knowing what card is good and knowing what card is not from a monetary standpoint. And then what I think is cool. So I'm open to any advice on like what raw cards should I be buying to invest in for the long term? Should I be buying graded cards versus raw cards right now? Like what's a better long-term play here is what I want to know.
Sure. So first off, I think the number one thing to know is that they just released the print numbers, which is this is one of those unique things in Flesh and Blood that like is huge compared to other TCGs. Every year, a year after the set's release, they are releasing the print numbers, or I don't know if it's actually like identically a year, but whenever they choose to, basically at least a year is what I think they've said. They are releasing the print numbers of what that set was, and also they kind of released the rarities, and other than the Fabled, we know how often you pull a legendary, how often you pull a majestic, and so by that you can actually do the numbers, and that's kind of what I do on my channel. I have a collection tracker, and every week I put out this video that kind of tracks everything, and then I do an EV of the box at the end of the week, so you can see what the value is of a box if you were to open. And so I love that they do that. And so they just released those print run numbers, and there was a lot of surprises for us as a community. As a community, we kind of accepted this number. James White kind of put out in the creator, James White, the creator. The creator of the game, James White, kind of put out this message a long time ago that was like, there's less Hearts of Feyendel, which is the fabled card. 1 in 40 boxes is the anticipated number. Less Hearts of Feyendel from Alpha than there are Black Lotuses, Alpha Black Lotuses in Magic the Gathering. Less than half, I think, is what he said. And at the time, it was understood that there were 1,100 Alpha Black Lotuses, so therefore there would be 550 Alpha Hearts of Feyendel. Well, then they, and kind of we accepted a print run of 1 in 40, putting that at 22,000 boxes is what everybody thought. So then they announced that it's only 16,666 boxes. So that we know there are 16,666 sealed boxes. That's all that were made in this world 2 years ago. And the same number goes for Arcane Rising. So there's Alpha, which is Welcome to Wraith. So Welcome to Wraith, the Alpha box.
Nice.
It is the same print. This is the Alpha box.
Money.
This is not the beta box. This is the Arcane Rising. Oh, where is it?
Okay.
This is terrible video. This is not the beta box. That is just the second set, the first edition. But for the first edition of the first set, they put Alpha rather than first edition. So these the two boxes are equally printed. And then at 16,666, and then Crucible of War was printed at, I think it's 35,000. It's either 35,000 or 37.5. Can't remember exactly.
Wow.
So by that,
no TCG has ever done that.
None.
Yeah, that's complete transparency. Another thing, James White and Legend Story Studios, like, it blows my mind. Like, who does that? Like, who tells the community how many amount there are?
And it allows
that's where the investment part of it comes into play.
And it's beautiful because it allows you to really understand how rare your collectible is, rather than always wondering, does some guy own 5,000 of these and they're just kind of slow dripping them onto the market or something like that. Like, exactly how many of each card exist.
It's amazing.
And you can compare that to the number of players and the number of investors, and it's just a really beautiful way of seeing the health of the game. And in my opinion, that's why we've seen only growth and really very, very, very few, if any, retracements in any product at all.
Wow.
So, but then the cold foils are kind of the other side of this, which is like cold foils are only printed in those first edition or alpha products. So the unlimited, like you're saying, is for the players. They are printing it just like it would be a regular Magic the Gathering set. I don't know how Pokemon works. Do they do like sets? They still have first edition and then they just keep printing. How does that work in Pokemon?
Other than back in the WotC days, no. Everything now is just new modern sets, and then there's subsets of them that get printed.
But they have come out and said that they reserve the right to reprint any Pokemon set. Is that what they've said?
Correct.
Oh man, so that's the difference.
It's tough. It can be tough,
and that's basically how Unlimited is like, as a player, you hypothetically you don't have to worry about them not reprinting. Or basically what they said is, as long as the demand fits the product, they will continue to print the unlimited product. Now, you're right. Eventually, printers will dry up. They won't. My theory is, if they just said, hey, we won't ever say that it's out of print, they reserve that right to reprint it if they want. Right. Yeah, that's an idea. But basically the idea, though, is that it keeps players able to play the game at relatively cheap expenses. The problem is that the game is still rapidly growing, even though Unlimited is out. Like an Unlimited, the EV, if you open a case of Unlimited, your EV would be about $115 per box, and you can buy the box for $99. So if you're buying a case, the key is for Flesh and Blood. Wow. This is kind of the key, is to not open just a box, but to open a full case, because there's one legendary in each case. And your legendary is going to hit you. Low end is $85. The high end is $200 for one of the legendaries. So you're going to get potentially half your case paid for by one card.
So then I have an investment question then for you.
Okay.
I have 12 cases sitting in front of me of I bought Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising. Should I hold those cases? I'm gonna do like some stuff on the new Facebook groups to get people product and get them excited about it. But should I hold some cases? Should I just rip them open and just go for the hits and try and pull the heart and the eye, or should I, like, what would your strategy be with people? Because in the Pokemon community, I can tell you this: for a lot of people that are going to come over and that are coming into my new Facebook group called Flesh Blood World, is they're coming into it from a collector and an investment standpoint as opposed to gameplay.
Sure.
So for those people, I want to steer them in the right direction. So when it comes to unlimited, which is the cheapest option that there is in the market right now, because I mean, alpha boxes are going 8K plus already. What should I tell them to buy it and open it? Should I tell them to buy it to keep it sealed? Like, what do you recommend?
For unlimited, right? Just clarifying that you're talking about unlimited.
Yeah, for unlimited.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, so the most recent information I have on that is that we just got our first banned card. So 2 years they banned one card compared to Magic the Gathering. They banned 30 cards this year. I don't know that number's true, but anyway, we had our first ban card, and in the ban announcement, they said that Drone of Brutality would be removed from further print runs of WTR Unlimited. So if you're me, I read that as, hey, we will have at least one more print run of WTR Unlimited. So I would say at this point, your best bet is to crack it open. Your chase cards are the legendaries, which there's 5 of each legendary, or 5 legendaries in each set of Arcane Rising and WTR.
Right.
Your big chase card is the Fabled, which in Welcome to Wraith is the Heart of Feyendel, and in Arcane Rising is the Eye of Ophidia. And those are about 1 in every 40 boxes. Now on my stream 3 weeks ago, we did 8 case breaks and hit 7 eyes or hearts in 8 cases.
Oh my god! So I'm gonna send all these cases to you, and like you open them then, and I'll take all my hearts and eyes whenever you pull them.
Yeah, we had people going nuts. My generic slot was selling out in like a quarter of a second whenever I posted it to my patrons.
Gosh. That's insane.
I had people saying, "Hey, can I send you my my Monarch first edition boxes so you can open the Fabled for me in every box?"
You got the hot hand, yeah.
I had the hot hand. Well, now we're like 0 for 3 in the last 3 case breaks. So anyway, if you hit that card, even an unlimited Fabled, an unlimited Eye, and unlimited Heart is sitting at like $550 to $700. So chasing that is great. Chasing that is really great. And they're also playable cards, but they're not essential. If you are a player, like, they are not essential to play the game. They aren't like the Apex card. They have designed this. Oh, we'll show you one. This is terrible. This is my biggest, my recent investment. I just pulled it out for you.
What's the grade?
This is a 9.0. This one, this is from Alpha though, or from first edition.
That's big baller card.
But then the unlimited ones, they still look good. Like, they're still beautiful.
For a $700 raw card.
Yeah, I mean, they're gorgeous. And they're really fun to collect, and they're really fun to have. And you can put them in your decks, right? Like, you can if you are playing. And so it's great. Like, and it's great, and it's a great chase, and it feels really, really good when you pull that still. What's the? I kind of saw you post today. There's like was it a 9.5 Charizard that you posted? I mean, what's a Charizard raw going from the latest set?
Yeah, so I posted up today in Pokemon World. I posted a PSA 10 Burning Shadows Hyper Rainbow Rare Charizard, which was insanely hard to pull. Yeah, it's a lot of words. Insanely hard to pull. It's very difficult to grade because the set was printed horribly. And I listed it for 4.5K.
Okay.
So probably like the last eBay, recent solds listed around 41 to 42. So it's a card that's going to keep rising just because of the low pop on it. So I mean, the modern, in a black label from BGS, black label in a SB49 Hidden Fate Charizard, that's $5-6 grand we're talking. So I mean, there's a lot of money in the modern stuff. I'm not a modern collector. I'm definitely a vintage guy. I only buy and sell and trade vintage. Now we do buy, sell, and trade modern, but I'm like a vintage guy. So there's a lot of money in the modern stuff, though. There's a lot of money in the modern stuff. You just gotta rip packs and have luck and buy the cards you want and try and grade. And
what's the perceived rarity of a card like that?
So let's see here, and like it's like you just described. Whenever they announced the print run numbers for Fab, you can figure that out. With Pokemon, you can't, right? Because I don't know a print number for what they did for the recent set battle styles. I don't know what they did for Champions Path. I don't have those analytics to break it down and go, well, this in 1 in 800 packs you're gonna get this. Now people do that, and they put together, like, for instance, for a new set that just came out called Battle Styles. There's a Tyranitar. It's called the Sleepy Art alternative art version, and someone posted up that you can pull it about 1 in 800 packs. I've sold thousands of packs, and then 30 packs I saw a guy pull 2. So I mean, it's all over the place. I can't give you like pull rates because I just don't know the numbers.
Yeah.
Which
Gotcha.
makes it that question mark even more fun hunting Pokemon because you just don't know.
Yeah. And so like in Flesh and Blood, you can try to pull, and it's not like confirmed, but one of the theories is to open sequential. So I know a lot of people who are opening Monarch who have tried to order from the same store 40 cases to get 40 sequential cases in order to open to kind of almost guarantee themselves the Fabled. So that's another thing if you're able to do that. Now I don't know that unlimited that works because I had, like I said, 8 cases from 2 sources, so they weren't sequential from the same location, but they were certainly sequential from I got a large number of cases from each place. So crazy that like I was able to pull that. So that might change in future runs, but the previous ones that was the theory. So. I mean, I would say open it right now because I think we will see another print run. I don't think you will see unlimited boxes going from the current value of $95, $100 to $250 anytime soon as a result of
I don't see that either.
Them reprinting it. And I really do think we will see at least one more reprinting of unlimited. Honestly, my theory is that we will see, so they just announced Crucible of War Unlimited. That'll be mid-year in June or July. Maybe into August, but I feel like we might get one small restock before then of Unlimited from Arcane Rising and WTR. My gut is that they printed a crap ton of Monarch all at once to save printing costs and resetting the printers and whatever, and that we will see a ton of Monarch and then restock of Unlimited for WTR and Arc, and then Unlimited Crew before the next set of Kingdom. So at that point, maybe Unlimited becomes investable. But I would not say now because you're going to see a wave of it come back in. The highest price that we've seen Unlimited get to was the middle of December, kind of December after Christmas. It was at like 150, and the community was complaining. I mean, the community didn't like that, and a lot of people who had sealed boxes of Unlimited still didn't like that because we didn't have enough cards in the market to sustain the gameplay. And I would say that anybody who is looking at just collecting or investing, like try the game because there's nothing better than playing with your collection and investing. One of the things, the beautiful thing right now about Flesh and Blood, unless they change this in Monarch, with the equipment that's cold foils, you can actually play with this because it doesn't go into the deck. And I think that's, it plays in front of you. You don't shuffle your equipment into your deck. So you can actually...
Yeah, that's so cool.
You can actually play with a graded card, whereas a lot of other card games, or almost every other card game, right? Like you have to shuffle your I think Charizard, if you were playing Pokemon, I don't know who plays Pokemon, but if you were playing Pokemon, you'd have to shuffle your Charizard into your deck. Well, in Flesh and Blood, you can actually play with your Courage of Bladehold. You can play with your Reaping Blade. You can play with your card in front of your hero card if you want to get that graded. You can actually play with those cards, and that allows you to kind of be a high-level collector, high-level investor, but still play, which is kind of fun. And then there's nothing cooler than walking up to the table and putting some slabbed cards on the table, right? Like, I mean, that's
absolutely.
That's kind of why a lot of us are in this, is like the idea of like, hey, this is a fun thing to collect, and you're proud of your collection, and so it's a cool way to share that with other people.
Another thing that Fab's doing that I think is so cool is I mean, they're releasing their print run numbers. You can play literally with slabs. Like all my slabs sit in a cold, dark space in a bank vault or in vaults in my home, and they never see the light of day unless I like go out and play with them.
Yeah.
But I heard that they don't cut corners and they're transparent. Like Monarch, I know had a week delay, and I heard it somewhere. I don't know if it's confirmed or true or not, but that they were air freighting over product so that way they can meet the demands for the release. And
so instead of it being delayed like 3 or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, it was delayed 1 week.
Incredible.
And so expensive.
When I hear stuff like that about a TCG that's like really trying to do it right for the collector and the player, I was like, I'm all in, and that's why I'm literally all in on Fab. So.
Yeah, I love that. I will clarify one thing. You probably shouldn't roll up with like graded cards because they are very expensive. But if you're playing with your friends, stuff like that, like I think there's a line there.
I like got a briefcase and I show up with like a bunch of graded. I get jacked and I'm like, it was all Louis.
I agree there that like you need a storage solution. I have a bank vault too. But you need a storage solution. But it is also fun to like, when you're doing a local game with your friends or something like that around the for me, like kitchen table is kind of how I play. So it is kind of fun to do that. And the ability to do that is nice. I have a question for you. Somebody who has, I think there's a lot of flesh and blood people, if they're still listening, hopefully they are, a lot of flesh and blood people who, I was talking to somebody today, we were talking like, we never owned $1,000 card before. Like that, like if you came from Magic the Gathering, unless you had a high reserve, even some lower level reserve list cards aren't worth $1,000.
Sure.
Or even some decent level reserve list cards aren't worth $1,000. What do we do? We have, I mean, I have cards that are worth more than any other collectible I own. Like, what are some tips to like keeping your collection protected and safe, and you know, that kind of stuff?
I mean, you got to invest into your investments, right? So, and these are hard assets that we can see and touch and hold. It can be affected by weather. It can be affected by predators of people, and just you got to protect those things. So, collectors insurance is always great to invest in. No matter where you're storing that product, you want to invest in collectors insurance. And then a huge thing is keeping it safe at a bank safety security deposit box. If you can't afford that, then getting a safe for your home and protecting it there. Whether it's stand-up safe or any type of safe, right? That the waterproof, fireproof, and keeping it safe that way, out of reach of people that you don't trust, or out of reach of your children that you don't want your $1,000 card getting destroyed because they thought it looked cool and it was shiny and it's ripped in half on your floor.
Yeah.
So and then obviously the number one thing that I recommend, especially whenever you're pulling these cards out of these boxes and raw, is just grading them. There's nothing better and getting a graded card. You encapsulate it into a piece of plastic forever, and that company's going to tell you what your card is, and then you can go to the third market and know what it's worth. So by grading it, and that's one thing that DFW Pokemon, my company, offers, is we do Beckett grading service and PSA grading service in the Pokemon community, and that extends out to all TCGs too. We take in Yu-Gi-Oh, we take in Digimon, we take in Dragon Ball, we do Fab now, and we also do a little bit of sports as well. So I mean, the greatest thing you can do to protect your raw card is to put it into a slab, and that way the true value of it forever, and no one can question that. And when you go to sell it, or you go to trade it, or you go to buy it, that hard value of it. And then they just look cool, and you can keep them collected and in your safe or in your collection or wherever it is that you store your cards. I like I said, I have part of my collection in my home that I like to see and touch and have, and then I have in multiple banks in Texas. Not going to tell you where. That's where I store my Pokemon stuff.
And those bank vaults they're just not that expensive. I mean, I think that's cheaper in my opinion than doing like collectible insurance. I know some people have argued that they're not insured if they're in the bank. I don't know the details of that. For me, it's like if it's in a bank, it's safe, and if something happens to the bank, like that's like a once in a blue moon thing. So for me, like if they're in the bank, they're safe. And then like I had to get I have a fireproof, waterproof, just small vault, like bank, not vault, safe that I put, and it's like anchored into so nobody could even steal that safe. So it's like, okay, come look at my safe if you want. Like, and then I think the other thing I would mention is like home security too. Just having some, they don't even have to be high end video cameras. It's just something like a lower end, so you have some sort of recording on a cloud that people can't cut or whatever, just to kind of capture that kind of thing. I think that's important too. So.
And letting I mean, there's a very tight knit group of people in my life, especially family, that know where the heart of my collection is, and know what to do with it. I mean, God forbid anything ever happens to anybody who's into collectibles, have a trusted beneficiary who's going to handle that type of stuff. So if anything does happen, you want your collectibles to go to someone that's going to be trusted and going to utilize them, not to just get pawned off or sold off for really cheap or stolen by someone. So it's always good to just have that lined up. I mean, you want to take care of the assets that are going to take care of you later on. That's for sure.
Yeah, I have a little letter that I wrote to my wife that tells her what to do if something happens to me and who to talk to. And it's like people, people who I trust on social media. It's also like my friends in real life, but like people who I trust who have had conversations to be like, hey, reach out to this guy that like you hear me talking about all the time, and he'll be like, oh man, I'm sorry that your husband isn't here anymore, but like, here, let me help you. Like, who knows if you can trust him, but like, what else are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like,
it's such a morbid thought. A morbid thought.
But like, even like the people close to me in my life, they don't understand. Like, they don't understand the value. Even like the people who I play with, like I play Magic the Gathering, they have no clue. They're like flabbergasted when I tell them that something's worth $2,000. Never mind like what other stuff is worth. And so it's important, I think, to like write detailed notes to say like, hey, here's how you go and figure out this. And for me, it's nice, like I do have a collection tracker that I do for my patrons or whatever. But like I have my whole collection and it updates every week. And so like if I can't update it next week, well, it'll just show you last week's value for her. And it's kind of it's sad, but it's funny too.
I do the same thing. I have a I have a 3-year-old daughter, and she's gonna inherit my collection when she turns 18.
I hope she likes Pokemon. I have.
Yeah, I mean, like if not, then I mean it's gonna be useless junk to her, but it might be good value. So if anything were to ever happen to me, I have like a thing set up where I'm one of my most trusted business partners is to get all my collection, sell everything right now for market value, and she gets all the money. So
that's awesome.
When she gets older. So that's like we'll never have to worry about that though.
I have one of each Magic the Gathering set that came out from when my daughter was born, so that when she turns 18, we can do a draft, like a chaos draft together. So
that's awesome.
But the problem is now I play Flesh and Blood, I don't really care about Magic, so it's like it's even worth it to keep buying a blister pack every time I go to Walmart.
It's okay. So everyone keeps saying that. Like everyone that I talk to that's like involved in the Magic community, they all are like, I don't care about Magic anymore. I don't like the way that Wizards is going with it, and they're like really like all in on Fab. Is that like? Do you hear that a lot from your people? Is that like why is that though?
The only people I don't hear that from is my local commander group, who I cannot get to play Flesh and Blood. But like I'm involved in 2 like pretty decent Magic the Gathering Facebook groups that are kind of more like not like the big ones, like 200 or 300 people, and like all of them are going into Flesh and Blood, especially on the investment side. And what I started up as an investor. I mean, I bought a case of Arcane Rising when boxes were $125 because one of those Magic the Gathering people were like, "Hey, dude, I'm buying some Flesh and Blood. This seems really cheap compared to the alpha stuff." And that's what got me involved. And then when I saw the value, I said, "There's got to be something like special about this game. If people are spending this stupid amount of money on a product, it means that there's got to be something special about it." So that's what got me to move from a collector to a player. And then when I played it, like honestly, like I have not felt that way since the first time I played Magic the Gathering. I remember the first night I played Magic the Gathering, I was in college. I had played Pokemon. I had collected Pokemon. And nobody ever plays Pokemon. I collected Pokemon, and I had played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh when I was like in middle school, but that luckily quickly weaned off. But then when I got to college, like some guy was like, "Hey man, you want to learn how to play this game?" And I started playing, and like I remember that night distinctly. I went on TCG Player, and like I just started buying cards, and like, oh, this looks like it would be cool. And I made like a 5-color Magic deck. Like a kitchen table 5-color Magic, whatever. And like I just started buying cards, and then like they came, I was like, oh, I was so excited, like I couldn't sleep that night. And like since day one of playing Flesh and Blood, I haven't been able to sleep every night as a result of like being so excited about this game. And like I have awesome. That, it's like I'm a content creator, so like I have to be excited too. So I find things to be excited about. But in addition, like the game is just so good. And it took me moving from being a collector to actually, and I love that about Unlimited, I didn't have to open my Arcane Rising boxes. I didn't have to open my WTR alpha boxes. I popped open Unlimited, looked up some deck lists. The webcam stuff is really good. Flesh and Blood is like as much, their whole thing is helping people get together in the Flesh and Blood to play, which is beautiful when you're not in a pandemic. And so in this world, we've started playing on webcam. And like the fact of the matter is that the game plays incredibly well on webcam. Like whereas Magic the Gathering, you have to have all these tokens, and you have 50 creatures out there, or you've got these stacks and these chains, and there's a lot of stacks and chains in Flesh and Blood, but you don't ever have all this mess to keep track of. It's usually your hero, the cards that you're currently playing, and then they go into your graveyard or your banish zone, and it just kind of flows a lot better on webcam. So once I started doing that, it was just beautiful. And again, you can play with the unlimited cards. You don't need the first edition. You don't need the alpha. And then you don't have to open your investments. You don't have to open your collection because you can keep stuff sealed. So
and James White, he like, it's like the guy is so smart. He foresaw all this.
7 years.
And now it's all coming into fruition. Like he saw the plan and manifested it, and is making it happen. And it's my understanding that Monarch is the set that's really gonna is the explosion of this game. From a gameplay standpoint, and from an art standpoint, just for everything. And so the more people I can bring into it, from my side of Pokemon, because not all my business partners are involved in Flesh and Blood. I'm like the only one. but we all kind of have like our like we're all diehard Pokemon people, but we all have like our little niches outside of our day-to-day business with DFW Pokemon. And mine is now Flesh and Blood, and so I kind of took the reins over of creating Flesh and Blood World on Facebook and creating a new community that I'm still curious and learning about, that I can control because I'm the admin and owner of it, and I can bring in great mods to help me assist with it and just learn and network with great people and building up a new group that I can call my own and kind of and just make it be whatever it is. It's a buy, sell, trade group. You can learn the gameplay. Like we post videos from YouTube, like especially you, and like we share content and just like it's just an open network market for people to do whatever they want under the umbrella of Fab.
Yeah, and I think that's great. And I would say like one of the coolest things that I think I've heard so much from Flesh and Blood players and investors and collectors is that the community has just been super, super welcoming of everybody, yes. Like super friendly. Like I think of any card game, like as much as some players were maybe 3 months ago a little bit upset about the collectors and the investors getting into the game, the fact of the matter is that everyone has just become so excited about what is happening in Flesh and Blood that they've just accepted all types of players, investors, collectors.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like I love, my thing on the channel is like, we're all in the ocean. Like there's like the ocean is a big place and whales are big, but you can be a dolphin. Like, you can float around. And if a whale is buying up, alpha rainbow foil majestics, go buy the alpha cold foil commons, right? Like just like there's room for everybody because there's so much so many dynamics to the game and there's room, and I love that, and I think that's great. So I hope that continues into your Flesh and Blood world, that group, like that kind of healthiness and that kind of encouragement of one another. And I love like even the people who are kind of like trolly. It becomes like there's this guy in the Facebook group who just laughs at every post. Like it doesn't matter what you post, if it's market price, if it's $1,000 over market price, if you're under market price, he's like the first person on every post, and he just laughs at it. And instead of
laugh reacts it,
and like instead of everybody being upset about it, like it just become this like joke that happens, and it's like we just roll with it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like a great idea of like having a healthy community that doesn't take itself too seriously and understands that like we're talking about they're not stupid. We're talking about cardboard rectangles, right? Like
cardboard. That's all it is.
This is cardboard. Like this is not. There's so much more important. Like you're talking about your 3-year-old daughter. Like there's so much more important things. And even if you don't have a daughter, I happen to also have a daughter. Yet there are so much more important things in this world than cardboard. And as much fun as we can make, and you and I are both trying to make a life out of cardboard, right? Like a job and a career out of cardboard. As much as that's important too, like there's more important. The way we treat one another is more important than that. And I think that's something that Flesh and Blood community has really tried to grasp onto and hold on to pretty tight.
Yeah.
And even as we've been rapidly growing, we've been trying to keep that kind of organic feel of like caring for one another. So
I think that the core culture, like I come from like 10 years of the service industry, and everything we always practice and preach was about the culture. And I see the toxicity in the Pokemon community and different other communities. And so far with how quickly Fab has grown, the culture of me jumping into Discords and Facebook groups, like even me asking the most noob questions I possibly can. Like, you get a couple of troll comments, but I don't feel like those are like threatening troll comments. It's people that are just genuinely think it's funny because like they know who I am coming into this. Yeah. And they're like, Ryan has literally no clue what he's talking about. So like I make a post and I like a buying post or like any type of post, and it's just I get trolled, but like in a fun way where it like makes me laugh, like reading the comments, and I'm not like depressed reading. I'm like, oh, this person hates me, but they're like, I'm like laughing along with them because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but like they're like open arms. And it's a really cool community thus far. And like the people I've met in person too, like this local guy, Justin, who came over to, like, he came out of his way to drive all the way to me to not only sell me a box, but to sit down and play and teach and instruct. And like, you can tell he's like so happy doing it. And like different game stores that I've called and gone out to buy product from, like they know who I am in the Pokemon community. And when I come to their store, and they're like open arms teaching me, educating me about Fab, and not raking me over the coals on prices either, like giving me good prices and deals just so I can get product out there and influence and just have it for myself, because like I just want all of it. Like I bought a hero brick deck thing sealed. Like I had to have one of those. Like I got like
it's like 5,000 of those.
There's like 5K of them. I'm like, yes, I finally got one. Like I was trying to get one of those. Like I got like different play mats, and I've been buying up like banners and posters just because I'm like a nerd. Like I think they're just cool.
Yeah.
And like the artwork is different. You know,
I'm
like, I'm never gonna knock on Charizard and Pikachu. Like Pokemon is my addiction, always has been, always will be. But I think it's really cool, like the different heroes and like the posters and like, so anything Flesh and Blood, I'm just trying to buy it up and just create a little collection for it.
That's cool. I'm a huge proponent of the playmats.
They're sick. I'm an
avid playmat collector. I just got 2 playmats in today. One of them I can't show you yet because it might have something to do with my spoiler, but I just got a Scar for Scar playmat that I have so zero hope in getting one from the skirmish events because I don't have time to play it. These people are playing like 3 skirmish events a week. It's unbelievable. I don't have time for 3 skirmish events a week.
I don't get it. Like, yeah, I'm never gonna be. I'll tell you this, and I hope the community of Fab doesn't hate me, but I'm never gonna be that involved. To really dial in on like the skirmish events and the gameplay of it. Like I think going to like an organized event in the US or like Worlds or whatever they have planned in the future, like I would 100% go to that and be a part of it and like rock out with that. But I know I'll never have enough time to truly dial in on the gameplay. But if I can learn and play and, you know, not just be a phony investor and collector, then I definitely play when I can.
Well, you're on the Kitchen Table TCG channel, so I feel like that's an acceptable place to say something like that. Now, that being said, we do have a new competitive team that I'm working on. I'm not working on that. I have a mod who's, Sean's working on creating a competitive team. But I think, that's the key, man. It's a fun game. And as much as James White is like he's comes from this competitive world, of TCGs, like he has also created a game that is incredibly just fun to play. And it's fun to lose. Like I love losing Flesh and Blood. Like I don't even care. Like win, lose, or like I hate drawing. That's like my big thing. I don't like when we draw. But win or lose, like I'm like, heck yeah, like I had fun. And so like it doesn't have to be all competitive either.
Yeah, I got slaughtered today when I was playing, and I was like totally okay with that. Like I jumped up and I was like, yeah. And I was like, my life points are gone, my hero's dead. I was like, and I mean, of course, I had no clue what I was doing, but I was just excited that I was just learning how to play.
Yeah, and hopefully we get a player versus environment kind of mechanic coming soon. That's been kind of teased. I've already said if they don't come up with it, I'm gonna do a call to action to the community to create it yourself, a PvE mode, because the artwork is, I mean, like everything lines up in my mind. Like the artwork all has these like big giant creatures, and like it makes sense to do like some sort of PvE thing. That's gonna be where I think like this game moves from like really high level play, and it will still have that, but like you think of like Commander, like Magic the Gathering Commander has really taken Magic the Gathering to like this next level, and in my mind this like PvE environment type stuff is what can take Flesh and Blood to this like complete huge thing where it's like I just want to have my friends over to my house to play PvE. Like that's how I felt about Commander for a long time. And as fun as it is to play one-on-one, like that kind of group dynamic is a lot of fun too. So that would help too for somebody like you who like you don't have time to keep up with the metas, right? Like I don't have time. Like I am lucky that I have 4 or 5 people in my Discord server who like shoot me messages and say, hey, this is like the stuff that's happening in the meta. This is like the really good decks. And it's like super helpful for me as a content creator, but I can't play 3 skirmishes a week because I have to make 14 videos a week. So, but any other questions, bro?
I don't have any other questions that I could think of in our time on camera, but I know I'm going to be messaging you in the future, so it's perfect. I hope you're ready for that.
I'm going to have questions about Pokemon because I'm going
to. I got you covered.
I'm going to start trying to rip. So I'm trying to do 2 video streams a week, 2 cases of Flesh and Blood each stream, so 4 cases a week, and then in between each case do some other TCG. So like I've got 1 million patrons asking for MetaZoo. I don't have 1 million patrons. I have nowhere close to 1 million patrons. That would be nice. I have a bunch of patrons asking for MetaZoo. I can kind of get my hands on a little bit of Pokemon product. It's like impossible to get. It's harder to get Pokemon than it is Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, it's crazy. But you have me now, so now you can get product very easily and below retail.
There you go. So trying to do some of that. So I'll have questions because last time I ripped over open Pokemon, everybody was laughing at me, like they were laughing at you in the Discord server. So it was a good time. But
Yeah, I did a live video where I was opening up unlimited boxes on the new group Flesh and Blood World, and I literally every single card I just looked at my buddy Jared, who like sold me a bunch of first edition boxes, and I was like, "Is this good?" I was like showing him like comments. I was like, "Is this one good? Is this one good?" And like people were like dying in the chat, like they were like, "Ryan literally knows nothing," because every single comment I was like, "Dude," I was like, "Dude, it's a hollow. This has got to be good." He's like, "That's a comment's worth like a cent." I was like, "Dang it!" And I would pull like another one. I'm like, "Dude, this one's got to be good. It's different. Look at it. It's got like an M. It's got an L. Like this is good." And so yeah, so I'm like still very baby stages, but I'm learning and I'm trying to process it all quickly.
That's great. Well, everyone who's watching, go on Facebook, go follow along on Flesh and Blood World, and go make fun of Ryan when he's opening packs and help him learn, because that's the point. Like, we're all here to help him learn, right?
Teach me, I want to learn.
And that's awesome. And dude, hopefully we see you at some point in some of the games or something. I think we will see like some sort of tournament or Channel Fireball event or something this year, and it'll be a lot of fun to hang out with everybody and play some games together. And I appreciate you, man. I appreciate what you're trying to do to create a cool culture and a cool community and bringing over the Pokemon people. I've been trying to tease to people that Pokemon people were coming over. 40,000 Pokemon people. I mean, let's say 1% of them follow you over into the Flesh and Blood World. That's I don't know, 400
Huge.
people.
It's great.
What is that? 400 or 4,000 people? Let's say 10%. That's what I was going for. 10% would be 4,000 people, which is a lot of people. So that would be awesome, man. And we will welcome them with open arms, and we will be a community that enjoys having all backgrounds of TCGs involved in our community. So
awesome.
I appreciate it, man. Anything else you want to say to people?
No, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you reaching out. You guys need to like, subscribe, follow KitchenTableTCG. Guy knows his stuff. And just join our Facebook group. Check out the Pokemon if you're interested in Pokemon. And I look forward to really being a big staple in the FAB community so much as you allow me to.
Yeah, and sell this guy your cold foils. Okay, sell him your cold foils.
Sell me cool stuff. Like I bought like a crazy brew promo.
Yeah.
I just bought the Go Bananas sealed promo. Like I want to buy like cool stuff. Like no, I'm not gonna go out and just like spend a bunch of money and just throw it out there. And I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be smart. But like I want to buy I want to get an eye. I want to get a heart. I want to get more first edition boxes and cases. So like if you got anything out there you want to like sell, yeah, feel free, hit me up. I'm either gonna say yes, that sounds great, and get scammed, or no. I'm just kidding. But yeah, hit me up. Like I want to buy some cool stuff.
Awesome, man. And hey, good luck with your Monarch openings. I hope you get some product and can crack open.
Got 10 cases coming, so I'm gonna rip through a lot of it.
That's the thing. I think a lot of people. One other thing I meant to say earlier, like I think a lot of people feel like they missed out because Alpha and WTR were.
No, there's still
Monarch
plenty of
is
product out there.
going to be a hot set. It is going to be. The spoilers are. Like
huge.
My spoiler, I cannot wait to show everybody my spoiler card on Saturday. It's good. Like the game's like it's so good. Anyway, it's gonna be so good. So
can't wait. I'm excited. Woo!
All right, dude. Well, hey, let's wrap up this video. Hey, everybody, remember to be kind to the people around you and be kind to the Pokemon people who are gonna come into our community, because this is good for the game. So, like Ryan, be kind to Ryan. Hey, everybody, be kind to Ryan.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone be nice.